This is King Noble Black Supremacy. And with this particular video, I want to talk about Terry Crews' sexual harassment allegations against Harvey Weinstein or Weinstein, whatever you want to call it. I want to talk about how Terry Crews' sexual allegations expose the psychological enslavement of black men in America. I've had several videos where I talk about the black man being the white man's bitch in corporate America, in Hollywood, in sports, the NFL, the NBA. The list just goes on. We are the white man's bitch. I did not know how bad it was till I saw this Terry Crews allegation story against Harvey. I knew it was bad, but not this bad. I couldn't conceptualize how a black man addicted to the gym, that's this big, strong, swole, and appearingly confident in himself, would allow himself in front of his wife to be groped and sexually harassed by this man. You couldn't get me to believe that. I know we are under the mental chains of psychological slavery. I'm clear on that. But it's pretty bad when a black man like this is in 2017, 2016, 2015, even 2010. I don't care how far you go back, would allow himself to be harassed like he was at a slave auction with his family. Like a slave, like an Amistad movie. Allowing himself to be sexually harassed and suppress all of the fight, the monster, the masculinity, and the toughness within himself. So now he has to come out like a woman and cry and complain about being sexually harassed by this old, weak geezer. Now he has to come out and say that he was sexually harassed. He was property of Harvey. He was property of the white man. Still a slave. That's why he couldn't fight back. He couldn't reject his oppression. He couldn't resist his oppression. He couldn't stand up as a man in front of his woman in this so-called modern day society. And he needed the confidence of other victims to come out to even have the gall, to have the confidence to speak out against this cracker that sexually harassed him in front of his family. He's a grown-ass man, a grown-ass, strong-ass man physically, but psychologically, he is the white man's bitch. He's still a slave on the plantation. He's still under white supremacy. He's still passive. He still must bow down to white authority and white superiority even today. Well, when he's being groped by another male, a white man being groped in front of his wife, he cannot do nothing about it. And you tell me we are still not under the chains of psychological slavery. It's very, very bad now at this point to see this come out like this. That it doesn't matter how big or physically strong that you are in this society as a black man, you are still under the mental and psychological chains of slavery. And sometimes all this physical strength that you're gaining at the gym and all this extra testosterone that you're gaining is only compensation for your inferiority complex against the white man of whom you willingly and voluntarily submit to and bow down to daily. We talk about the NFL protests, but we see the same thing. We see these big, strong black men kneeling and bowing down before their master under the auspices of protest and resistance. Who kneels down under the auspices of protesting and resisting against white supremacy? Who kneels down to fight against injustice and dehumanization and police brutality? Who kneels down for that? We are under the psychological chains of slavery today, and it's obvious and it's coming out. He was powerless and immobilized while his white oppressor, slave master, film contractor, film director, film producer, company owner took advantage of him in front of his wife like an old slave movie. That's the only movie that these Negroes are acting in, is the slave movie. That's the perpetual movie. They get side jobs in acting in this or that movie. But the real film, the real ongoing and perpetual movie that they plan in is a slave movie, where freedom is a long, long away because of their psychological state of their mindset. Some of you all just thought I was being disrespectful when I said the black man is the white man's bitch. Terry Crews proved that he was Harvey's bitch. Couldn't say nothing about it. Couldn't do nothing about it. Didn't have the strength. And if he had the strength, it was unnecessary. It wasn't useful. See, black strength is rendered useless against white supremacy. When it comes to fighting another black person, attacking another black person, murdering another black person, we have all the strength in the world. But when it comes to our oppressor, we become immobilized, turned off. I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was this bad. This man showing muscle and showing strength, but there's no significance and no relationship in his ability to protect his own confidence, manhood, or dignity in front of his family, which also renders him useless to be able to protect his family. And he comes out with an allegation on the train of allegations. This is what happened to me. He groped me in front of my family. And you feel confident telling us about this, that you're a grown-ass man and you cannot break the mental chains of slavery, and that the growth that you're trying to achieve and the illusion of success and the money you want is worth more than human dignity, where you allow someone to sexually harass you on the auspices of a contract and not do nothing about it. We talk about the Illuminati and them selling their souls and becoming sexuals and becoming effeminized, selling their souls for what they can gain in the Illuminati, but it's simpler than that. It's not even that deep. It's just a slave narrative where the master continues to take advantage of his vulnerable slave. It's not that deep. It's not that much of a conspiracy. It's very simple. White privilege. We own and control everything. You're our nigga. We do what we want to you no matter who's around. And you're going to accept that. And only if you're the type of person that accept that, will we do business with you? Will we grant you the opportunity? We have to make sure that you're totally broken down, totally psychologically enslaved Negro before we can even mess with you. But obviously, Terry Crews passed the test because he continued to climb the ladder. But something just didn't sit right with him, knowing that he had to live with being a bitch-ass nigga for the rest of his life. Being a hoe-ass nigga for the rest of his life. Being under the chains of psychological slavery by playing this image of a tough guy, but really being the white man's bitch beneath it all. He couldn't live with that, so he comes out thinking that he's doing something. And he says, I'm going to expose this. He groped me in front of my family, and thinks that we have respect for him, knowing that he allowed this to happen, that money was more important than the dignity of his family. That what he could gain in the matrix and false image and the artificial reality is more important than his dignity as a black man, as a straight black man. I knew they was the white man's bitch, but I just didn't know it was this deep. It's not so much about the Illuminati as the white man's bitchality, the white man's bitchism. That's the epidemic and the plague that's happening. I look at this picture of Terry Crews and other pictures of Terry Crews, and I just can't I can't fathom how sick and how deep we are under the mental subjugations of white supremacy. But if you look at society, it's obvious. It's obvious. We're still at the slave auctions on the plantation of the NFL, and when they're casting for new actors and new talent, it's just a slave auction for black people. My nigga. They just kind of reformed it and refashioned it and blanketed it in a different type of way so it doesn't look like the same type of chattel slavery that it once was, but it's the same old shit. This King Noble Black Supremacy. Join my website, www.kingnobleuncensored.com. Donate and don't hate. Hit the like button. Turn on your notifications for this channel. And definitely subscribe. King Noble Guru. Black Supremacy.